Great. Okay. So again, as always, if I'm looking down here, it's because that's where I can see everybody to give overall generalized feedback. If you wanted me to call you out or something by name, you can put a little emoji hand up, but I've kind of gone away from that because I want everybody to feel able to get into their flow. So I will give generalized like group stuff if I see something happening, but it won't be like, hey, you. Okay. So for anyone joining the recording, 2 blocks at the top of the mat. And this is a well-rounded flow hitting kind of every modality. We will warm up, but not excessively like Sunday. And then we'll stand up and do some strength and balance, and then kind of take it to the floor for core and restorative. All right. So let's start on our back. You can hit play on the playlist. Okay, and then on your back, right, is always you don't have to start there. You can always start in a seated meditation if you prefer not to be on your back, or any other shape that feels restful to you. If you're on your back, then the options are always among many, but the 3 main options I like to shout out are Shavasana. So heels in, toes out, legs are long, palms are up. If you want to start opening your hips, then you can start here on your back, bring the soles of the feet together, bring the knees out. And if you feel like you can hang here for a few minutes, great. If you'd like some support, then you stick blocks under your knees. So clearly I'm really going back to some of the nuts and bolts, but it's always good to like remember this stuff or be reminded of it. And then the final like option here on your back would be what is called constructive rest. So constructive rest, if you open the knees and you don't want to stay there, close them carefully. Bring the feet as wide as the mat and let the knees knock in. Sometimes that can feel really nice on your low back because it forces your low back to kind of flatten. So if you had any arch going on or anything like that, that was kind of giving you low back pain, this posture will help to counteract that. So pick a shape where you want to start your practice today, which feels like a good grounded place. And close your eyes if that works for you. Otherwise, just pick a point to focus on. And then just take a few rounds of breath here to find one thing to be grateful for. I'm coming off like a really bad cold or whatever it was. And we've all been sick, I'm pretty sure. And you know that first day when the kind of acute phase has passed, or even if you have ongoing health problems, you'll have that one day where you're like, damn, this is a good day, or I feel well, or more well than usual. You got to hold on to those and just be grateful for any little shift. So today I am grateful that I can breathe quite literally, that I'm feeling good to move around. You could keep it really simple, like you are glad that you were able to unroll your mat and just take an hour, even if it means you're going to chill on your back. I don't care. And then let's take 3 big breaths together. Take a big inhale through the nose. And open the mouth, sigh it out. Big inhale through the nose, if that's available. And open the mouth, sigh it out. Last one like this, big inhale through the nose. Open the mouth, sigh it out. And then find your yoga breathing of choice. So what that means is I suggest closing the lips and then breathing smoothly in and out the nose. But if you're really stuffed like I've been, you can breathe through the mouth, just keep it smooth. And then if you'd like a little bit more practice on controlling your breathing here, we can take Ujjayi breath or victorious breath. So a little revisit of Ujjayi breath, again, is a very soft constriction in the back of your throat. So sometimes I even like to take my fingers and just place them lightly on either side of the center of my throat. I don't have an Adam's apple, so whatever that is up the middle, that's kind of where, whatever you have going on there, just place your fingers on either side. And then when you take that soft constriction as you breathe in, you'll feel the breath come in your throat, but then when you breathe out with the soft constriction through your nostrils as it passes over your lips, you might feel that little vibrating action on your fingers if you're holding them on your throat. So the exhale is pretty forceful, it's textural, you'll feel it. And then the inhales, it will seem very loud. And the idea is that it becomes very oceanic. So you can start to drown out unproductive thought loops. It works as an anchor for your mind, for your body. It also works as a little bit of a cooling system, because as we start to build more like heat in the practice, that exhale out will actually work like an AC. It's like air going over, nose stuff, saliva, etc. So just start to settle into your smooth yoga breathing. The exhales should be as long as the inhales, if not longer. And then if you found that thing to kind of be grateful for, you can kind of cement it in your mind now. If you want to pick a different intention or thread to kind of come back to, set that now. And then open your eyes. You have the knees together, separate them so the feet are flat. If your legs were long, bend the knees, bring the feet to the ground. If your knees were butterflied out, just take your hands on the outside of your knees, close the knees together. So we all meet with knees bent, feet flat on the ground, and then hug the knees into the chest. You can take a couple of rocks back and forth here. Then set the left foot on the ground, interlace the fingers below your right knee, and use the hands to guide your right knee up closer to your right shoulder. And then if you want to intensify the stretch for the front of your right hip flexor, you can either pull on the right shin so the knee comes up closer to the shoulder, or if you want to feel a little bit more kind of like joint mobility, you can use your hands here to kind of just rock the knee back and forth. So remember, the top of the femur, the biggest leg bone is your femur, which has this big ball at the end, and it's designed to just fit in the socket of your hip. So you can kind of like imagine rolling it around in your hip here. Let's switch sides. So take the right foot down, hug the left knee into the chest, interlace the fingers on the front of the left shin below the knee, and then start by guiding the left knee closer to the left shoulder. So you can give yourself a little assisted stretch here, or again, you can kind of take that wiggle back and forth. Great. And then release the left foot down and pick up your right foot, find a figure four shape. So, oh my gosh, okay. So get the right ankle above the left knee, and then flex the right foot a lot, press the right knee out for reclined pigeon. With this figure four shape, start to walk the left foot back towards the left glute. And then this could be plenty of hip stretch for this early. And then I'll give you options to add on. The next option, bring your hands alongside your body, pick up the left foot, and then it's like you're using your left knee to press your right foot closer to the chest. If you are continuing to focus on flexing both feet and pressing the right knee out, you will feel this as a hip stretch quite a bit. You can get a lot out of this by just pressing the left knee further into the right ankle. You will probably feel this on the outside of the right hip. Now, if you want to add on, the left hand can be outside the left thigh. The right hand can come under the right shin. You can interlace the fingers behind the left hamstring. Or if you're feeling super open in your hips, you can interlace the fingers on the front of the left shin. Whichever of these variations you take, you need to flex both feet super strongly and keep the right knee moving away from you. Now, if you've taken any of these variations and you find that the upper body is like clenching or coming off the ground, let it go, move back to the other one. Okay, nice. Let's let it go. So bring the hands down to the ground, bring the left foot down to the ground, right foot down, switch sides. So left ankle comes over the top of the right knee this time. Walk the right heel in closer, flex the left foot. And again, the whole idea is that we're pressing the left knee away from our body. That's going to activate those hip muscles and kind of stretch stuff right there. Stay here. Bring the hands down. You can use your hands like a kickstand. Pick up the right knee and then press the shin closer to the chest, okay? So just by doing this, if y'all have strong legs, because I know everyone on this call, right? As you press the shin closer to the chest, you'll get plenty of intense stretch. But if you want to add the hand, this time the right hand is on the outside, left hand goes under the shin, interlace the fingers behind the right hamstring or on the front of the right shin. But nothing about the leg position changes. So you can get plenty along the way at any of these stops. Okay. All right. Release the hands, release the feet back down to the ground, hug the knees into the chest. And then this time, bring the chin into the chest, bring the hands behind the hamstrings, and let's roll up like a ball. So you will need to put a little bit of kind of core oomph in this, but if you want to make it more of a massage moment, that's fine too. Okay. Whew, feels good. Come up to sit. And then cross the shins. We'll come right to tabletop, hands and knees. All right. So in tabletop, let's go for some cat cows. Okay, so this is just warming up the spine. So for your cow, you arch the spine, send the tailbone up. She heard cat. Pull the chest forward, look up. Nice. And then cat, press into the ground actively, flatten the tops of the feet, drop the head. So this should feel like a stretch for your low back when you do this. And then inhale, cow. If you want to stretch your feet here, you can tuck the toes, but think about really pulling the chest forward between the shoulders. That's going to get the most of this spinal extension. Good. And then exhale, round and curl cat. Yeah, come here. Inhale, cow. And then exhale, cat. She can't stand that I'm saying cat over and over. All right, inhale, neutral spine. Take a few rounds here of any movement that you like. So circles, you can drop the hips towards the ground, all that good stuff. Yeah, okay. The thing about animals, cats, dogs, whatever, they have such good spinal fluidity. So it really is nice to kind of check on them. Switch directions if you were doing something to one side. Okay, come back to center and then remember tabletop, right? Hands are over the hands are under the shoulders. The knees are under the hips. And if at any point you're over downward facing dog, or if you don't want to do downward facing dog at all, I'll remind you again, when we get into our standing postures, almost any of them can be reached from tabletop. So this is a great option for kind of moving between postures if you don't want to do down dog. All right. Okay. With that said, let's thread the needle. So press into the left hand, reach the right hand up. So the idea here is that you're opening your torso out to the right, stretch through the right shoulder, and then take the right hand, thread it under the left. So the right palm comes out to the side, and then your right shoulder will come down. And if your blocks are handy here, you can place your right ear on a block. Okay. Or the ear could come all the way down, but if it does, slide the ear forward more than you think you need. This is plenty. All right. Here or on the block, if you want to add on, crawl the left fingertips forward, lift the left elbow. Tuck the back toes, lift the left knee, slide the left leg back. That adds some core. If you squeeze your obliques here, you'll find a little bit more balance. If you want to float the left leg, that's another option. Okay, I'm just naming these. One is not the real pose or the other. In fact, this posture is almost totally made up, like whole cloth in the last 20 years. All right, so if you were floating the leg, bring the left knee down. And then bring the left hand back under the left shoulder. And to exit, press into the left hand, lift up the head, reach the right arm up to reset, reach the right hand down. And be really careful with your shoulders anyway. If you need to move the block, you can. Take the left hand up and open the chest towards the left side of the room. And then thread the left hand under the right. So it'll look like this. All right, the left palm will be up. Left ear goes down, either to the block or the floor, left shoulder goes down. And then again, slide the left ear forward more than you think you need. Leave the right hand here or options. Walk the right fingertips forward, lift the right elbow. Flex the right foot, send it back. Or pick up the right foot. So if you're doing that, you want to do two things here for maximum balance, okay? You want to squeeze your pelvic floor, which in yoga talk is called the Mula Bandha, the root lock. And it sounds weird, but if you do that, okay, like your P muscles, you'll engage your kind of deepest abdominal, low abdominals as well. And then kind of squeeze everything in towards the spine. And you'll find a little bit more stability there. Okay, bring the right knee down. Bring the right hand under the right shoulder, lift the ear, reach the left hand up, left hand down. Let's stretch the wrist, stretch the feet, and get it moving a little bit. Okay, so wrist stretch, again, basics, right? Fingertips out to the side, and then a few body rolls. Your other option, fingertips back towards the knees, okay? And then lean back, or make circles. If you're leaning back, it feels good. You keep leaning back. I like to tuck my toes here, but it's not like a requirement. Stop leaning back when the wrists start to come off the mat, okay? Because there's a certain point where you can like lean back a lot, but the wrists are no longer there, so you're not even stretching the right part anymore. And then my super bendies, options as always, reverse fingertip plank, reverse fingertip down dog. You know, yeah, if you're going for that, okay. All right, my reverse fingertip down dogs, they look good. Okay, carefully bring the knees back down to the ground. Nice. And then take the tops of the hands down, either fingertips face each other, back towards the knees, bend and extend through the elbows. Again, you can make the fists. If you're around on Sunday and you remember how we massage the forearms with the elbows or knees, you can go for that here as well. Okay, all right. Take the hands down, bring the shins together, tuck the toes for our toe stretch, and walk back to sit on the seat. So the important thing about this toe stretch is that you reach back and every toe that you have is tucked. So I always have to go back for my pinky. And then options to de-intensify the stretch, you can sit on a block, either right on your seat or between the feet. You can fold the mat or grab a blanket if you don't like being on your knees, and you can let go of this toe stretch entirely and just sit on the heels. If you don't want to do anything with your feet, just take a cross-legged seat because we're going to add on something for the upper body. Okay, so many options. If you're here with me in the toe stretch, or if you're sitting anywhere rather, interlace the fingers, turn the palms away from you, find a cat spine. So push the hands away, bring the chin to the chest. Nice. And then bring the hands up overhead. So this is just like a big good morning stretch, and then take a side bend to the right. So your side bend can either be with the hands interlaced still, or the fingertips down on the ground or a block. And if you bring the fingertips down, turn the upper hand palm down towards you. Great. And then come back to your center. If you were keeping the fingers interlaced, re-interlace them, and then take this over to the left. So with this side bend, the way it becomes a side bend, the way it stays a side bend rather than kind of like a forward fold, is that your chest and your hips are always open towards, it'll be the top of your mat for you, but I'm demoing towards the camera, right? But they're always staying kind of forward. Sweet. Okay, we're still sitting on the heels. Let's take a back bend of choice here. So options. You can either keep the hands overhead and push the middle of the rib cage forward. You can bring the hands behind the head, push the rib cage forward, look back. Or you can take your hands to your low back and then move the middle of the rib cage forward. For me, when I put my hands on my low back lately, it bothers that shoulder injury that I have. So I'm going to keep my hands here. So again, the back bend, the heels and hips stay connected. I know the feet are talking. The middle of the rib cage goes forward. Maybe you look up, maybe you don't. Let's let that go. All right, hands come down, pat out the feet a lot. We're heading to our first down dog. So remember, if you don't want to do down dog, you can always stay in tabletop. We'll start with bent knees. So try it with bent knees, see if it works. If not, come on back. Tabletop is a great place to be. So again, we'll spread the fingers. And I want you to feel pressure here, below the fingers and the fingertips. And exaggerate if you need to. One more thing that I never really mentioned, but if you feel better with your chest or anything, turning the hands out, you can too. There used to be a lot more, you can play with it in tabletop. There used to be a lot more rigidity about keeping the fingertips straight forward, but we've kind of moved into the 21st century and anatomical developments. So try moving your hands a little bit wider if you want, or try turning them out slightly and see if you like it, okay? Otherwise, tuck the toes and then press into the finger pads and the fingertips, okay? So below the fingers and the fingertips, and then hover your tabletop. Yeah, nice. Okay. Yeah, listen, at any point you're over hovering the tabletop too, you can bring the knees down. But, okay, let's take a few breaths here, like 3. Building a lot of upper body strength this way. And we also start to build our internal heat. And we're just, where can we be grateful for being able to breathe? Keep the knees bent, bent knee down dog. So I kind of naturally start to press myself back for this one, kind of like an animal revving up. This is what happens. And then I like to send my tailbone up. Keep the knees bent. And then look back at your feet. So if you look back at your feet, that will naturally start to align your head where it should be, which is like biceps around the ears. And then as you look back with your feet, you can either bend the knees more if that kind of helps you, or you can start to pedal out the feet, drop one heel and then the other. Good. Okay, really nice. If you want to stretch your hamstrings and you're in tabletop too, you can set one set of toes back and kind of rock on the toes and then come back. I love doing that one. Okay. All right, my friends, if you are in down dog, either keep the knees bent or lengthen the legs. And then look forward at your hands and start to walk forward to the top of the mat. If you are in tabletop, same thing, press into the hands, lift the knees, and then you can just kind of like do this little crawl walk towards the top of the mat, or come to the top of the mat, however works. We'll all meet in a forward bend. And then grab opposite elbows here and sway from side to side with the knees bent. All right. Drop the head a little bit more. Okay, let's bend the knees and then roll up to stand. If you want to keep your blocks handy here for tight hamstrings, go ahead and set them up at the top of the mat. I'm sorry, this camera angle, I'll fix it for next time. I don't know what's happened. Zoom changed the camera a bit. Okay. 3 sun salutation variations here, okay? So inhale, sweep the hands up overhead. Either the palms will touch or they'll be apart. I apologize, it's not on camera. Look up and then turn the palms away. Exhale, swan dive forward. So remember, the blocks here are great, and then you'll bend the elbows straight back. Inhale, lift halfway. So again, the legs can have a deep bend. The upper body is parallel to the ground, and your eye gaze is down past the top of your mat, rather than looking back at your shins, which is where it'll be when we exhale, forward bend. So again, the forward bend and the halfway lift might be very similar. For me, sometimes they're not too far off, depending on how tight I feel. But just think, in the forward bend, just look back at the legs. In the other one, you're kind of looking forward to keep more of a lift. Bend the knees a lot until you can flatten your hands. So you might need to even like walk the feet back. Yeah, nice work. Okay. Once you get the hands planted, carefully bring the left knee down to the ground and then the right knee. So we meet in tabletop. Great work. Okay. Inhale for cow here. So arch the spine. We've done that one before. Pull the chest forward. And then exhale, cat. Inhale, neutral spine. Bring the knees as wide as the mat. Bring the big toes to touch. Sit the hips to the heels. That's child's pose. And then take a big inhale here. And exhale. Look forward at your hands and then slide forward on your stomach. So the hands are under the shoulders. Point the legs back, the toes back. Bring the legs can either be together or a little bit apart, but the hands are right under the shoulders and the elbows are glued into the ribs. Good. Bring the forehead down for baby cobra prep. So press the hips down a lot, squeeze the thighs. So when you squeeze the thighs, you'll feel the kneecaps lift, but the toes stay down. And then on your next inhale, baby cobra. So just lift the front half of your body up. So it can be like 1 inch. I want the back of the neck really long. So you're still kind of looking down at the mat rather than forward for this one. And most of the work is happening from your low back muscles rather than your hands. Good. Exhale, lower down. Press into the hands, tuck the toes, and then meet me in tabletop, hands and knees. All right, so that is one option. Again, going back to the super basics of what is called a vinyasa, which is just a link of movement to breath so that we can get kind of from one little section to the other. All right, so that is cat, cow, child's pose, baby cobra, and then back to tabletop, or if you like, downward facing dog. I'll demo from tabletop. From downward facing dog or tabletop, look forward to the top of the mat and we'll meet in that forward bend again, okay? So I'm gonna lift up my knees a little bit from tabletop and kind of just awkwardly walk forward. Meet in a forward hang. Grab a different elbow from the one you grabbed last time. Drop the head and pedal out the feet if you like. If you want to interlace your fingers behind your back, find a big shoulder stretch. I'll never say no. This is where I'm going to be right now. Okay, drop the hands and then roll up to stand. Once you roll up to stand, again, we'll inhale, bring the hands up overhead in high prayer, Urdhva Hastasana, or with the palms apart. And then turn the palms out, swan dive forward. So the palms are going to come out like that. And it's a really good idea to keep a bend in the knees here. Good. All right. So inhale, halfway lift. If you're not using the blocks, the hands are going to be on the thighs or shins. I mean, maybe they're on the floor, but like notice I really can't keep my upper body in that L shape when I do that. So exhale, forward bend. All right. Either stay with the vinyasa option we just did, which is coming to your knees, cat, cow, your small back bends, and then tabletop, or you can come with me to another option. All right. So if you're with me, plant your hands, bend the knees, step back to a high push-up position, but just for a second because we're bringing the knees down. Knee plank. Okay. In a knee plank, the hands are right under the shoulders, so nothing about that has changed, but the knees and hips are in a line rather than stacking. You got it? Yeah. Take a break here. Definitely get some water. I know. All right. So if you're in this knee plank, you squeeze the lower abs. And then bend the elbows back and we'll lower down. But I want the triceps again to touch the ribs. I talk about this so much, but like if the triceps are not touching the ribs, don't do it. Okay, nice. Okay, so we meet on our stomach. And if you're here, we'll either take another baby cobra like we just did, or maybe you want to lift up into a higher cobra. If you want to do that, separate the feet. Bring the hands on either side of the rib cage. Big breath out. So press the hips down, squeeze the thighs, and then inhale, come up a little bit taller. Right. So if you're taking lifted cobra, now you can press into the hands, but all right, keep the elbows bent and then keep them dialing straight back. So upper body is touching the rib cage in all of these. Very nice. Bend the elbows straight back, lower all the way down. And then tuck the toes, come through tabletop and either stay in tabletop or come back to downward facing dog. All right, one more of those, then we'll move into standing postures. Okay, from down dog or tabletop, again, I'll demo from here. I'm just gonna tuck my toes, walk forward. We meet in a forward bend. This time we're not really hanging out here, but keep a bend in the knees and then just unwind the spine as you come up to stand. Good. Inhale, sweep the hands up. Either the palms touch or they don't. What the hell is going on with this angle? Turn the palms away. Exhale, swan dive forward. All right, hands on blocks or on the ground. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Okay, remember you can lower down from your knees. I'm going to demo from my toes this time if you want to come with me, or just meet me in tabletop or downward facing dog if you don't want to. So bend the knees, plant the hands, step one foot back and then the other. We're in a high push-up position, high plank. So take a second here and get really honest about your plank. Yes, okay, looking good, everybody. Rock forward on your toes. That'll make it actually a little bit more challenging, but I find it really helpful to squeeze the front of my legs here, so your legs are working too. We'll lower all the way down from here in a line. So bend the elbows back and then squeeze the thighs and squeeze the lower abs in. Yeah, lower down, make sure the triceps touch the ribs, nice. Untuck the toes, we all meet on the floor. Baby cobra with the neck long, lifted cobra with the chest forward. If you want to try upward facing dog, I'll demo that. Upward facing dog starts like lifted cobra. The hands come back on either side of the rib cage. Point the feet, squeeze the quads, all right? And then upward facing dog, press into the hands, you lift your cobra, but then you press into the hands and feet so the legs lift. I don't think that's in any of the videos, frankly, so this is like a thing I only teach live. So lifted cobras down here, now I've lifted my legs. Yeah. Okay. All right. Everybody lower back down. Tuck the toes, come back to child's pose. So bring the knees as wide as the mat. Let the seat come to the heels. Bring your hands forward, forehead to the ground. So those are kind of our three main versions of what's called the vinyasa that I'll teach in these classes. Sometimes we'll do chaturanga, not very often. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. It'll come up when it's meant to, if it ever comes up. But those, take a break for water, that kind of thing, for sure, right now. But those are always options. I know I'm breaking up the flow a little bit, but I want to make it super clear that the whole point of the vinyasa is for you to control the intensity dial. So sometimes if you go to a class, you'll see a crazy person doing extra push-ups or handstand or whatever. Okay, that's their journey. But you don't even have to do any of that, okay? And the only reason is to like turn the dial up, turn the dial down, or reconnect with your breath. So if you want to chill in child's pose or just step back to down dog, I do that quite a bit if I go to a class I'm not familiar with. Those are all completely valid. As is, just lying down and breathing. So, all right, with that said, meet me back either in tabletop if you're taking tabletop today or you want to take it now, or downward facing dog. All right, as we move into the attack portion, I will call out the stuff that's kind of the spicier version, and then I'll demo the more supported version. So that way, if you know you want to go for the spicy, you can. All right, so from either down dog or tabletop, lift your right leg up and back. If you're in down dog, roll forward to plank, bring the shoulders over the wrists, and then tap your right knee towards your right elbow. If you're in tabletop, you'll just tap your right knee in the direction of the right elbow, like so. Okay, and then send the right foot up and back. If you're in downward dog, it's one-legged dog. If you're in down dog, roll forward to plank, and then we all tap the right knee across in the direction of the left elbow. So you want to squeeze the abs in wherever you are. I feel this here. And then send the right foot up and back, tabletop or one-legged dog. Very nice. All right, you know what's coming next? Shoulders over wrist, curl the knee into the nose, squeeze, and then set the right foot down between the hands. So if you are coming from down dog, you'll just spin the back foot back. If you're coming from tabletop like me, we'll tuck the back toe, lift the left knee to meet up with everybody. Heel toe the right foot in, so it's right in the middle, so like right on the cat's face if you have that mat, and then spin the left foot down. So you want the toes away from you, the heel back, and the back foot is roughly parallel with the short side of your mat. And then the right heel is in line with the left inner arch. Okay, great. And then everyone press down on the outer edge of the left foot a little bit more so that left leg is activated. Once you're there, bring your hands to your hips, come on up. Okay, so we'll just hang here for a minute. If you know this one already, go for it, bring your arms out wide. If this is newer, you wanna refresh. I like to start teaching this posture with the hands on the hips because our chest and our hips are open the whole time. Okay, nice, great. All right, everyone walk the right foot forward a little bit more and then bend into the right knee as much as you can. So it can just be a little bit of a bend. Okay, perfect. You want to bring your arms out, you can. And then again, picture that I am pulling on the wrist, so your arms are really active here. Or you can just keep them on your hips. And then everyone take your eye gaze over your right shoulder or over the right middle finger, and then hold. Great. We're gonna hold here for about 3 long breaths. If you're ever completely over it, just straighten the leg, rebend, but know that your mind is gonna start telling you stuff before your body really needs to stop. So listen to your body rather than like the inner voice that's kind of limiting you. Delicate balance. Reverse warrior. Legs stay the same. Right palm turns up. Hinge forward at the hips a little bit. So you're going to reach forward with your right hand. Yeah, nice. Okay. And then reach the right hand up over to the back of the room. The left hand is going to come down the left leg. Right palm is down towards the ear. And we need to keep the bend in the right knee. I know. Good. Yeah, if you need to come out of it, come out of it. Shake it out. Come right back. Good. Okay. All right. Keep the arms as they are, straighten the right leg. This is reverse triangle. Now both legs are straight. The hips are still open to the side. The feet have not changed in alignment, but we're getting a big side stretch, big shoulder stretch. All right. Come to stand up. Again, the legs are the same. Feet have not changed. Hands are out. Palms are down to a T. Make sure you got a block somewhere reachable around your right leg for triangle. So you'll shift your hips back, the back hip, so the right leg, the front leg starts to stretch here. And then again, like the other one, you reach forward. And when you cannot reach forward anymore, bring your right hand down to your thigh, your right shin, the block on the highest setting. Bring your left hand to your hip. Okay, and then use your left hand to roll your hip open. You got it. Now, you can always keep a bend in the right knee as well. Once you have your left hip rolled open, bring the left hand up if you want. If not, just keep it here. And then your eye gaze can go up over the left shoulder or to the left hand. Yeah, very nice. Nice one. Okay, now if you find in this posture, triangle or Trikonasana, that you're really looking down at the ground, bring your hands up a little bit higher. Sometimes I do this with my hand all the way up in my hip crease, because what matters here is not where we're grabbing on the bottom, but that the chest and the hips are getting like opening towards the side. Great adjustment, yeah. Okay, come up through here again. Bring the arms out. Got one more thing here, all right? Yeah, one more thing. Rebend, warrior two. And warrior two legs, perfect. Extended side angle. So extended side angle, bring the right forearm down to the right thigh, bring the left hand to the left hip to start. Warrior two legs, okay? Now with the right forearm down on the right thigh, I want you to press down with the right forearm so that it feels like you're pushing into your thigh a little bit more. That keeps your shoulder protected. And then you turn the palm up like you're holding a plate. Very nice. Okay, press into the right forearm just a little bit more. A couple of you, just like this should feel hard, or like you're putting effort into it. Perfect. So you want to look like a fist space between the right ear and the right shoulder. So either stay here, reach the left hand up, or reach the left arm over the left ear. And if you reach the left arm over the left ear, turn the left pinky down to the left ear. And if you want a little bit more out of this, if you know another variation, go for it. You can also bring your hand down to the block. So whatever variation you've chosen, we want to make sure the hips and the chest are open towards the side of the room. These are called open hip postures because nothing about the hip alignment really changes throughout this entire section of a class. Okay, come up through warrior two. Let's all cartwheel the hands down to frame the right foot. Tuck the back toes, and then carefully bring your left knee down, right knee down for a vinyasa from here. Or you can take a brief child's pose. You can take another vinyasa of your choice. Okay. And then we meet in downward facing dog or tabletop. All right, and we'll do that full sequence again, and I'm going to move so that you can see it better from this side. So I'm going to move my blocks up there. All right, so from either downward facing dog or tabletop, let me bring you with me, y'all. Okay. From downward facing dog or tabletop, send the left foot up and back. So just point it, point the foot. But if that starts to hurt your calf ever, you don't have to. Okay, if you're in downward facing dog, shift the shoulders forward over the wrist. If you're in tabletop, same thing. Tap the left knee towards the left elbow. It doesn't actually have to touch. Great. Inhale back to down dog or send the left foot up and back. All right, other side. Rock forward, shoulders over wrist. Tap the left knee, cross it across the body, right elbow. Great. Send the left foot up and back. One more of these, okay? So bring the shoulders over the wrist, curl the knee into the nose, squeeze the abs in towards the spine, and then set the left foot between the hands. And you may need to move the foot with your hands. That's fine. You may need to pick up your hands. I always do that. If you came from down dog, spin the right foot down. Otherwise, if you're with me, tuck the toes, lift the right knee. And we all meet with the left toes forward, the left knee over the left ankle. And this time the right foot is aligned with the short end of the mat. Great. Okay, come on up, warrior two. So same thing we did on the other side. The hands can start on the hips. Yes, okay. Hands come on the hips. Get your chest, your hips towards the side, and then keep the back leg very active. So press, engage all of this down the side. Perfect. Okay. Press the left knee out away from you. And then hands can stay here. You just work the lower body strength, or arms come out. Look out over the left shoulder or the left arm. Very nice. Okay, great. Now, wherever you're looking out, over your left middle finger or your left shoulder, take that point of focus and then breathe. And try to stay with the bent left leg. If you need to come out of it, fine. See what happens if you stay. Sometimes I cue that and then I come out of it because I'm like, done. All right. Okay. Reverse warrior. So you will bring the arms out if they weren't out. Turn the left palm up. Reach forward and then reach back. So the left hand comes all over across the top of your body and the right hand slides down. Yeah. Or you can keep your right hand on your hip. The front leg is still working, I know. Nice job. All right. I know this one. It's like you've been in warrior two and then you're like, are you kidding me? A lot of this is mind over matter. Like I just learned how to kind of talk my mind off the ledge. Straighten the left leg, reverse triangle. So reverse triangle again is that big side bend. All right. So if the left heel is still aligning with the right inner arch, your chest and hips are still open towards the side. Now you're just stretching through the left side of the body. This probably feels like a break. I mean, a lot's going on, but we're no longer working the front thigh as much. Okay. Bring your shoulders back over your hips, bring your arms out with the palms down for triangle or trikonasana. So again, nothing about the feet has changed. Bump the right hip back until you feel kind of the amount of stretch you want to feel in the left hamstring. You reach forward, and you'll know when you get to the edge of your hamstring stretch, this is one that we don't want to push. Stop, bring your left hand down to your thigh, or the shin, or the block inside your left foot on the high setting. On this side, my left hamstring is a lot tighter. So I usually have it all the way up here. Great. Okay, nice choices. And then your right hand can come up if you like, or it can stay on your right hip. Great. Great. Come up through center again. Keep your shoulders over your hips. Bring your arms out, warrior two, just for a moment, to rebend the left knee. Don't forget to keep pressing down on the outer edge of the right foot. Bring your arms out. Extended side angle. So start with the right hand on the right hip this time. Take the left forearm down to the left thigh, turn the left palm up. Great. All right, now everybody doing this, press into the left forearm a little bit more. Like press, like you're really, I don't know. Like you're trying to press your left foot into the ground with this movement. So this should feel like a lot of work, but this protects your shoulder, okay? Very nice. And then either reach the right arm straight up, or you can keep it on your hip, or reach the right arm over the right ear with the palm turning down. Great. So it's easy to get kind of lazy with the back leg here. I just caught myself doing it. So squeeze the quad so that leg is super active. Nice. Okay, and then if you want, you can grab the block on the inside of the left foot and place your left hand on the block, as long as you're still opening. It's a hip strengthener, it's a hip opener. Nice. No, I'm doing great. Okay. Palm up through center. Whew. And this time straighten the legs and bring the hands to the hips. Turn all of your toes. Okay, meet me at the top of the mat. Sorry, I got confused. Meet me at the top of the mat, shake everything off. And then come to the middle of your mat. For chair pose, little chair pose refresher. So actually grab one of the blocks for chair pose or Utkatasana or fierce pose. And take it the long way. Yeah, this is like the medium setting, like a little candy tablet, but this way, and then squeeze it between your thighs. Okay, so kind of weird, but once you squeeze it between your thighs, that'll keep your feet active in this variation, and it'll keep your kind of legs, pelvis aligned. All right, so squeeze a lot, like you're trying to like squeeze it back between your thighs. And in this version, clearly, our toes are going to be pointing straight forward. I know, it's kind of weird. Okay. This also keeps us from like arching our low back a lot. So from here, just bring your hands together in front of your chest. Okay. And then keep squeezing the block as you just drop the seat down. So as you squeeze the block, that will like ensure that your knees are still centered rather than knocking in. And it will make this harder. So if you're up here, that's fine, but just try to keep a tall spine. Really nice. Yes. Okay. I know this one is like an isometric hold for the inner thigh. So try to sit a little bit lower, but like you're sliding down the back of a wall. So my upper body, I'm trying to keep it as tall as I can. My legs are surely working. Yes. Really nice, everyone. Okay. Keep squeezing the block as you stand all the way up. Remove the block, set it down at the front of the mat, shake everything out. And then inhale, sweep the hands up overhead. Exhale, forward bend. And shake it out from side to side. We are done with the attack stuff for today. So from here, come to tabletop hands and knees. To get into just a little bit of core and then some restorative stretching. So bring the shins together, come to sit on the heels for a moment. If you like, you can close your eyes here. This is a nice stretch for the tops of the feet after all of that kind of standing work. And it stretches the quads as well, although I think maybe we'll do another thing for the quads here in a second. And then open the eyes. Shift your seat to either side, and then bend the knees, bring the feet flat on the ground for a boat pose variation. So keep both blocks handy, and we'll squeeze one block between the thighs like we did in chair pose. Cool. And then reach the hands forward. Okay, and then everyone sit up as tall as you can with a wide chest. All right, so I can sit up about this tall without curling my spine. You know what, let's all curl the spine for a second, like C-curve the chin into the chest to feel the exaggerated version of that. That's what we don't want. And then exaggerate widening the chest. So I always like to think, could I put this block across my collarbones and it would stay? We're not going to do that, but that's what you want, okay? And then lean back as much as you can while still keeping the chest wide. So when I start to go back any lower, I start to lose that width. So I'm going to stay about right here, but I can definitely feel it. So you want to lean back to the point where you say this really fucking sucks. Now you can stay there, and this is Navasana, boat pose, okay? Or you want a little bit more, squeeze the block and then lift the feet up off the ground. You're still squeezing the block, yeah. And the shins are parallel. If you really want to go crazy from either the feet on the ground or the shins on the ground, you can reach the biceps around the ears. Even staying here is quite a lot of work, okay? If you want to try to straighten the legs, you can, but notice I just like fell into my spine when I did that. So you want to keep the chest really wide. Okay. Rebend the knees, bring the feet to the ground, and then roll up for a second, hug the knees into the chest. Looking very good. Second set here. So if you are done, hooked, you want some more support, keep your feet on the ground. If you want to try something else, you can lift up your feet, but we're adding on. So bend your knees, bring the feet to the ground, find a wide chest, so sit up tall and then lean back. Okay, and then take one block in your hands and reach it forward. Okay. So Navasana with a little bit of a twist here. Take a big inhale through the center and then exhale, twist over to the left like you're tapping the block to the floor, but it's not going to tap, you're just twisting. So working the side of the core here. And then come back to center. Inhale, reset the chest if you need to. Exhale, reach over to the right. And then come back to center, reset. If you want to lift your feet now, you can. All right, just try it. Who knows? Take a big inhale and then exhale, twist over to the left. Come back to center. We're only doing one more on each side after this. Twist to the right. Come back to center. You can tap your feet down if you want. Inhale, reset, wide chest. Exhale, twist to the left. Back to center. Twist to the right. Keep squeezing the block. Back to center. Set the feet down. Set the block down. Hug the knees to the chest. Remove the block. Make a little ball here. And rock from side to side. All right. Okay, so I have a hip opener here called Dragon in restorative or yin yoga. It's also sometimes called lizard. You grab both of your blocks. And I highly recommend maybe folding the mat in half if you have a sensitive back knee. Mine is occasionally sensitive, so I'm going to fold the back of my mat kind of like this. And then keep your blocks handy as we come to tabletop. Good. And then pick up your right foot and bring it outside of your right hand. Okay. Actually, everyone walk forward a little bit more. I think I needed to walk forward. Okay. So you have left hand, right foot. Already, if that's a lot, just grab blocks. Now, we'll walk the right foot forward until the left hip starts to lean forward. So we're no longer in this tabletop, but the more you walk the right foot forward, the more you get this diagonal through the back leg. So if you feel a big stretch on the front of the left hip, that's a good sign. It's what we're going toward. And then you'll walk your hands forward a little bit more. And then you can leave the back toe tucked, okay? Or you can untuck it. And then the variations here are, if you're high on the blocks, it's called dragon flying high. If you're lower on the blocks, it's dragon flying low. If you move the blocks, it's lizard. That's really the only difference here. The hands can come down. The forearms can come down if you feel very open. But I recommend using the blocks for sure. And then you can let the right knee fall out to the side, right? So you can let the right knee come out, do one of those in any position. So pick one that feels like 1 or 2 steps easier. You can also bring your forearms to the blocks. Okay. So pick one that feels 1 or 2 steps like easier than you might immediately go for, because we'll actually hang out here for about 1.5 minutes on each side. And I'll let you know halfway through. That way, if you want to switch what you're doing, you can. So we're halfway through this side. So if you want less, you can come up to your hands. Or if you want more, you can move down to a lower block or the ground. And the head can just hang here. Okay, so to come out of this on this side, if you were on your forearms, press into the hands. And then you can just carefully just walk the blocks back and the foot back. Okay, slide it back, heel toe it back a little bit. And then meet me in tabletop. So however, whatever it takes to get there, it can take a really long time, is fine. And then just bring your hands to the mat and shake out the hip. Nice. Okay. So with the caveat that this side might be a very different experience, remember, we'll do the same thing. So pick up the left foot and bring it outside of the left hand. So again, this might need to reach back and kind of bring it forward. So you got left foot, left hand, right hand. And then find your blocks and grab the blocks to start. And we'll walk the left foot forward and the blocks forward until we naturally start to find that diagonal in the back leg. Okay, so we were in tabletop, right? Now we've walked the front foot forward so that the hips are falling towards the mat is what's happening, and gravity is helping us stretch the right foot, right front of the right hip. I mean, I guess it's stretching the foot. And then you can untuck the right foot if you want, and either stay up here again for dragon flying high, come down to a lower block, or come to your forearms. Get rid of the blocks for lizard, or let the left knee fall out to the side. That feels really good on the outer hip sometimes. So depending on which side is more open or not. All right, very nice choices, everybody. And again, we'll hang out here for 1.5 minutes, and I'll let you know when we are halfway through. Okay, so we're halfway through. If you want to try something different, I'm actually going to come up to a higher block setting myself. Then let's exit this by coming onto the palms if you are on your forearms, and then just carefully shift your weight back towards the right knee and kind of heel toe the left foot back. And then bring the blocks and the hands back, bring the knees down and come to tabletop and shake everything out. Okay. And then bring the shins together just to come onto your back. So you can drop the hips to the heels if you want, or you can just come onto your back and keep one block handy. So you can either just come to your back however you want. If you want to make it a core situation, you can bend the knees, roll down, but keep one block handy. We'll finish with a final restorative inversion, which is either legs, it's called waterfall in restorative yoga, also legs up the wall, but we'll do it with a block this time. So just keep the block handy on the low setting. That's pretty much the only option for this one. Bend the knees, walk the feet in towards the seat, and then you'll press your hips up just enough to get the block on the widest part of your low back. So remember, your tailbone is not on the block here. It's like you've moved the block down to the last part of your low back. That's like not your butt, right? You'll feel kind of where the muscles insert. You want to stop right above there. So there's no tailbone there. Okay. Actually, let's just stay here in restorative bridge for about a minute before we move on to waterfall. So an assisted, very, very, very chill back bend. You can keep the hands on the body or bring the arms long and turn the palms up. And we'll just be here in silence for about a minute. Okay, so we'll either stay here or add on. If you're enjoying restorative bridge, you're welcome to stay here. If you'd like to add a little bit of an inversion, especially if you have swollen or tired legs, then you come with me to waterfall or legs up the wall. It's like waterfall when you add a block. Anyway, so just bring the hands down, leave your low back where it is, and bend the knees into the chest, and then just extend the legs up. So they don't have to be straight. The feet don't have to be any particular way. And we'll just hang here for about a minute. If you get tired, just bend the knees back into the chest, bring the feet to the ground. But you can also do this on your own time against a wall. This is really good for sore legs. In general, kind of like sports medicine or for an injury, they tell you the acronym is RICE, rest, ice, compression, elevation. So this is elevation. It just helps to get circulation going, kind of flushes out like lactic acid and free radicals and all that stuff that kind of contribute to soreness. So if you've ever done this after a long day, you were doing yoga. And there are many days where this is basically all I can bring myself to do, and it counts. To come out of this shape, same thing, we'll just bend the knees into the chest very carefully. You can use your hands kind of as security here, and then bring the feet down. And then we'll all exit this together like so. Curl the tailbone towards the navel, like we practiced many times on Sunday. You just want to shift like you're just pouring a bowl of water towards your stomach. Press into the hands, and then press the hips up to remove the block. Keep the chin working towards the chest, and then just unwind the top of your spine and the middle. And then flatten the low back down. Bring the feet as wide as the mat. Let the knees knock in. Constructive rest. And then if you'd like to bring the knees into the chest, you can. And then find your final resting shape. So might be Shavasana. Okay, so it's with the legs long, heels in, toes out, palms up, or maybe you want to finish in constructive rest or in that reclined butterfly shape or something else. I've been on a kick lately where I have my hands overhead. And we will be here in silence for about 3 minutes until I guide us out. start to come back to your body a little bit. You can wiggle fingers and toes. If you like, you can take a stretch overhead, or you can bend the knees into the chest, whatever is working for you today. Just start to bring some movement back. But keep the eyes closed if you can. And then roll over onto the side closest to the sound of my voice. And from there, use your hand to press up to an easy seat. And we won't be here for very long, but just a reminder that if you get tight quads or anything like that in this easy seat, sitting on a block or a pillow is always one way to help loosen that up. And then in this easy seat, take a moment and come back to that thing that you found that you were grateful for, even if it was like 1% of something. Or maybe there was something else that called to you instead. And let's seal our practice, the last breath together. Big inhale through the nose. And exhale, side out. Okay. Open your eyes. Thank you so much. I am certainly grateful for you all. Today's code word would be Eden Jekko, which is D as in dog, Z as in zebra, E K-O. Yeah, he scored for the other Milan. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop the recording and then check in with everybody.